Wow, well I hope it's not going to be quite so disastrously wet this coming Saturday. Fingers crossed it won't be. Anyway, I thought what might be an idea is I've got very little else to do today. I might give you a rundown of what I'm going to take to this wedding on Saturday. And I'm going to give the gear a good clean after I've done this video as well, so it's all ready to go. I happen to shoot Sony, so I have a couple of Sony full frame bodies, an A7 III and an A9 here. Yeah, really like these guys, excellent. I use the grip with the A9 and I have a sort of L grip on the A7 III. And I tend to use, when I'm whizzing around, one of these holster systems because it frees up your hands as well. And that's a great bit of kit to have. Most of the time when I'm out, especially if I'm working by myself, I tend to have a bag with all my essential gear in it. I use a thing called a Vanguard Vanguard 49 Select VO thing here. Lovely little bag, this one. It's not too heavy. You can wear it as a harness, you can wear it as a shoulder strap, or carry it, whatever, like a briefcase really. But it's great if you're working alone, especially in those moments, for instance, like when you're walking backwards, photographing the bride and groom coming down the aisle and busy snapping away. You can have all your gear with you, all nice and safe, know where it's going to be, and you don't have to try and get back into the church to get your gear out when confetti is being thrown and all that sort of stuff. It's always a nightmare getting back into a church when you've got everybody coming out. So this is a really good solution for me. If you have an assistant, of course, none of that matters because they'll be outside probably with your bags and other stuff or whatever. But certainly if, like this wedding I'm doing on Saturday where I'm having to work alone in a small venue, this is going to be really useful. The bag can also cope with one of these. This is a Manfrotto Elements carbon fibre tripod with, I think, a Benro head. I think I swapped out the Manfrotto one for a Benro one, which I preferred. But again, a small tripod like this will fit in the bag. I always know I've got my tripod with me. It's fantastic to have. So yeah, that comes with me. In the bag, we have the two Sony full frame bodies I have here. I always have one camera ready to go. So there's always one camera with a 24-105 on it. That is always out with me. I've always got it either in my belt clip or in my hand. So the idea is that you never miss a shot. And that lens is just so versatile that, you know, I think it gives you a pretty good chance of not missing a shot, really. There's not much you can't really do with that thing. So that's always with me. I know on Saturday we have the smallest room in the world to go and do the signing of the register shots. And I will definitely be taking the 16-35 with me. This is a cracking lens as well. I'm very lucky to have that one. Although I don't like doing super wide angle shots, obviously for distortion reasons. As long as you can keep people in the center of the frame, you don't have that. But this room is so small, there's no other way for me to go and get a reasonable shot of it. So we will be using that. So that comes with me, that's in the bag. And I always have my lovely little 85mm with me. That's normally on the other body. I have that on the go pretty much all the time. Lovely little lens, lightweight, nice and sharp. Yeah, can't fault that one. So that's my normal combo with the 24-105 and the 85 on there. I swap out occasionally for the 16-35 if I have to, and then I have the choice of either the Sony 135 1.8, which is currently my favourite lens, or the 70-200 2.8. The 70-200 is a great lens, and so I think depending on the church or whatever, it can do almost a little bit more than this one. It's just a more typical zoom, it's more versatile. But if you have to be at the back of the church photographing the bride and groom right at the front, this is a great lens because of course you've got 200mm. This isn't far off it though, 135, it's pretty good, and I know on Saturday this is more than enough. I've done some test shots in the chapel that they're getting married in, and this will be great. And I like that as well because this is a little bit heavier. and takes up more room in the bag, whereas this doesn't. So these guys will almost certainly be the ones that I'll be using on Saturday. And that's it pretty much lens-wise, other than for the A6400, which will also be coming with me, because that's the camera I tend to shoot video on. So with video in mind, I tend to have the Sigma 16mm, whatever it is, 1.4. That's a cracking little lens. And that will come with me as well as the Sony Sony 50 1.8. That's another very good lens. I use that quite a bit. And I also do take the little standard kit lens with me. So that's quite fun to use on the gimbal. Oh yeah, I will be taking a gimbal as well. So my video is pretty much straightforward. I tend to use a 6400. I use these guys as well to do little short clips. What else video-wise do I use? I use the Rode VideoMic Pro. That will be used again for the speeches and other stuff, along with some backup audio, which comes from a Tascam, which is a DR05. I will leave links to all these products and bits and pieces down below if you want to go and find out a bit more about them. But that's a great bit of kit, and I will put that somewhere very discreetly where it can't be seen, but will be able to also pick up the audio from the bride and groom and other people doing their speeches. So if something goes wrong with the audio, or I haven't set something properly or whatever, because it can happen, I have backup stuff here, which I can strip into the video at the end or during the edit. I also will take one of these guys, which is a Iowata. This is a little, oh, listen to that rain. God, it is hammering it down out there. Yeah, so a little video light. This is really neat. I love this little thing. So that, again, for the evening reception is pretty cool to have. And I can handhold stuff with this on top or whatever of one of the cameras. So yeah, this is really useful, and it's so small and neat, and it collapses down. Look at that. Love it. So that's definitely coming with me. So what I have in my other bag, which tends to be in the car, is all the video-y stuff and supports, like light supports. I tend to use these small Manfrotto light stands. I think mine are branded Multi-Blitz, so that goes back in time a bit, doesn't it? But yeah, they're made by Manfrotto. They're the smallest ones Manfrotto do, but they're really, really strong as well. So I have a couple of those. And then for doing the shots of the bride and groom and all the rest of it, I tend to take a couple of these guys, which are Godox AD200s. I have 2 of these, and I have the round heads for them as well, which I prefer because I can put on their filter kit, which is here, and I can do various different mods and other stuff with them. So these are really good, especially also if you have to light up bigger areas. I do use obviously the normal flash guns as well, such as these Godox here, the V860s, and I think this is the TT685. This is the AA battery version of the V860, which I have down here as well. It's quite nice having the battery version, because you can get the batteries anywhere. Not that I've ever had a problem with the lithium cell in the V860, which is here, and I have got a spare lithium battery as well for it. But it's just a bit of peace of mind, really. But I have to say, this is so much quicker recycling time. So I rate these are good. And I will probably get these at the V1, I think, which has just come out. So that's the next thing on the list. But yeah, in the UK, you kind of got to have plenty of flash guns and things, because you never know what the flipping weather's going to do. It's so unreliable. So yeah, that's what I take there. I will also take for my what have we got? My AD200s, I will take this thing, which is the AD-B2, which allows me to go and use both those 200 watt lights and turn it into one 400 watt light. Great for if you need to have a little bit of extra power and you've got a bright sunny day. These are useful, but also this is great as well because you've got LEDs, and I have used these LEDs. That is really coming down. I use these LEDs for modeling as well as sometimes for video. So this is a very useful little attachment. And I think that pretty much sums it up. I have plenty of batteries. So I use OEM batteries for the two main bodies, and for the A6400 I do use RAV batteries as well as a couple of OEM ones. I tend to prefer OEM batteries, and it's one of those things, I'm running a business so I can claim for it against my tax. So yeah, I tend to go for the more expensive ones. Flash meter, ambient light meter, whatever. Again, essential bit of kit to have. This is a very old Seconic L358, but it does the job beautifully. So yeah, that always comes with. And I think that's pretty much it. Spare batteries, again here for the AD200s. What else? Moza Aircross for my gimbal, that comes with me, and always a couple of these guys, which are just collapsible reflectors, or you can use them as diffusers, depending on how bright the sun is or whatever. But these are great, very useful things to have. So some of this kit will go into, a lot of this kit actually, the lighting, the studio lighting, and some of the video stuff will go into my Think Tank Airport Security 2, which is on rollers. So that comes along with two stands strapped to the side. Everything else is on my back, to put pretty much, or on my waist. Yeah, so it's all quite manageable, and that's if it's just me. If I need to go and do drone work, which I'm rapidly getting fed up with really at weddings, I will obviously have assistance with me for all of that, but I don't think certainly won't need it on Saturday. But it's getting harder and harder, even though I am a commercial pilot and I've got a license, or permissions they're called in the UK, to fly drones commercially. It is such a performance now, and all the paperwork you have to do and all the pre-site rigs and everything else. So I'm rapidly coming to the conclusion that I'm not going to be doing drone work, and especially if you turn up in the days like today, because obviously you can't fly a drone in weather like this. You have to manage the client's expectations. So yeah, I don't think I'll be doing a huge amount more than that. Anyway, that pretty much wraps it up. I have got other equipment that I could take as well. Sometimes I do take a video tripod, especially towards the later part of the evening if you're doing video work. It's nice to have something good and solid, and you don't have to worry too much about people pushing into it when they've had a few drinks. That can happen as well. Most of my kit here though overlaps, so if lens gets dropped or breaks or something goes wrong, I have spare gear all the time. Finally, if you can still hear me because of the rain, I back my work up on a WD My Passport Wireless Pro. This is the neat little bit of kit. Has an SD card slot there, so I can just put my cards in there and it will automatically just back up, and I can be off shooting with other cards and other bits and pieces. But it's just nice to know you get everything on here and you've got another copy of all the work. So that's pretty much it. I will let you know how the wedding goes on Saturday at some point, I suspect. Fingers crossed for the bride and groom that we have a better day than today. God, I don't know what we'd do if it's like this. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, and please feel free to subscribe if you want to.